Welcome to this episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. I'm your host, founder, and executive director of Voices for Voices, Justin Allen Hayes. Thank you again for joining us. This is your first episode, or if you've been with us for over 227 episodes, thank you. We couldn't do this without you. As you know, 55 countries, pushing 700 cities across the world. And if there wasn't an audience, then we, like yourselves, whether you're watching or listening first or been with us from the beginning, we wouldn't be able to do this without you. So thank you for the love and support you've given us. And please, if you're able to, if you can give us a thumbs up, like, share, let everybody know. We have a big goal of reaching 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond, and we're well on that way. So for this episode, we have two guests, two returning guests, and we're excited to talk for obvious reasons as we'll get into. But when we talk about really anything, whether we're creating something, making something, on a team, we're working with others, and each other we kind of bring uh, our lived experience, our history, where we've come from, and where we're at together. And when we do that, it really um, makes things even richer. It gives us more of a perspective of both of the individuals, or if there's more than two. And we find that that's a powerful thing. So for this episode, we're going to be talking about just that. It's about the creative process, working together, how our guests met, and we'll go on to uh, onto that path, and we'll see where that takes us. We probably will be having a part two of this show, so keep your eyes and ears out for that. What we don't get to uncover in this particular part, this episode, we will continue that. So the two guests we have with us are creators of many, entertainment, of books, of so many different things, and I'll let them, talk about that. So the two prior guests are joining us today on this episode of the show are Leanna Shields and David Solomon. So Leanna and David, thank you for coming back and being a part of this show.
Hi, it's great to be back.
Thank you.
Damn.
Great. I mean, we can start anywhere, but maybe we can start from I guess, the beginning, the inception of how you met, how you kind of linked up, got together, and some of the works that you've accomplished over the many years you've been working together.
Been what, two I think now, but um let's see. It started, I saw your book on Amazon, and it had a very unique premise that was similar to mine, where it dealt with mythical creatures, and it was urban fantasy, because a lot of Christian fantasy is what did we call that, the Narnia setting. Everybody sets it in a fantasy world, right?
Right. In fact, that's part of what inspired that book was a thing I found on Pinterest that said that the original writer said, "I'm tired of worlds where magic is relegated to knights and ladies. I
Yes.
want a place where you can go into a coffee shop and get your double espresso with a shot of confidence because you got that big meeting coming up."
Right. And like, all the until that point, all the Christian fantasies that I picked up were like there was nothing close to what I was writing in the past. It was all, Narnia this and Fantasyland that and Dragons this and um, you know, elves in a fantasy land that. And then I saw your book and that's kind of how we clicked is you were um kind of writing the same type of genre.
Yeah, it turns out we were just both a couple of mythology nerds who loved researching that stuff and figuring out how we can work it into our fiction.
And it was kind of cool, like you knew a lot of folklore that I did, and that was really interesting. um you don't see that every day. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you are part Native American, correct?
That's correct. I'm part of the Choctaw tribe in Oklahoma. Um, I'm actually the last of my family that can claim that unless, you know, I unless God leads a member of the tribe to to want to
Right.
marry me.
And there's not a lot of that tribe left either.
Oh, it's still a fairly good sized tribe. I mean, the city of Durant is their, I guess, best way to put it, capital.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, I know that like especially now like a lot of the tribes they've gotten on reservations and they're getting smaller and um it's so sad to see like how we're treating that situation. And something I want to bring up is you really brought in some of your own heritage to your own writing, which was also compelling.
Oh, yeah. I love doing that, especially with the third book in my Mystic Ranch mystery series. That's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
um, I did a lot of research and incorporated a paragraph at the back of the book that talks about the traditional Choctaw wedding dance and what each element of it represents.
And I remember that and I was like, wow, this is really cool to see in a fantasy, let alone something clean and something that could be viewed as Christian. Uh, some people may think, how can you do books like this and be Christian? And I'll let you answer that because you have a very compelling answer. Um, how can you write a book and consider it Christian when you have all these mythologies in it and creatures in it? How do you do that?
Well, honestly, the way I view it is with the world I created, there there is magic, but it is as a gift from God. Like my main character, Sabia, is an eco mage. She is gifted with tending to the earth. There's a special part of her magic that allows her to hear the. There's a verse in Psalms, I think it is, where nature sing. Well, basically, very, very much paraphrasing this, but all nature sings the glory of God. Sabia hears that song and she works her magic within that song of God's glory, excuse me, to still calm animals if they're distressed, to encourage crop growth, to enhance uh, her orchards, things like that, but is all done within God's nature's song of glory to God.
And that's really cool because you're using the Bible and you're making it come alive. which I discovered and went, okay, everything doesn't need to be Fantasyland. And I was seeking out, because I thought I was the only one doing urban Christian fantasy. All the other authors, a lot of them do Fantasyland. And when I learned that about your story, it really pushed me. I think that's how we started collabing, is we were very similar in our genres and in our styles.
Yeah, that is one of the first things that really clicked for us, was finding out that we do have this similar style of urban fantasy. But the way I picture it, for some reason I have in my head, and I may be completely wrong in this thinking, but urban fantasy in my mind usually looks dark. It looks gritty, but that's
Right.
because
And
I
and
base it off
sometimes,
of
yeah, and sometimes it is. I think secular has really made it that way. The word urban fantasy is supposed to be like modern day fantasy. And we don't see a lot of that either. Even in the secular universe, we don't see a lot of urban fantasy where you have legends come to life. Percy Jackson would be considered urban fantasy.
Hmm.
And we don't see that a lot. And there's a lot of demand for it so that people can relate in our world instead of worlds like Aragon or Lord of the Rings, Wheels of Time. um and so that's kind of cool. I remember us collabing. We created a character for your book because I like felt really inspired to sort of become a better writer myself. And I created Michael, and then I kind of let you take the reins and go crazy with him. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. Michael was a fun character to add in. I think he was just what the world needed for that book, where it's like, okay, I've had all these characters that my readers have met. Oh, here's this fresh face that I created with a friend, and he fits right in.
And Michael's really fun because um, I had that character for a long time, and I was like, huh, he could fit this universe. And the universe that you've created, that story world that you've created, has has really just spawned onto its own. It's so big and massive. You have centaurs running around, fairies, selkies. Um, you have all these creatures running around, which is so cool. And you can just like keep going and expanding on it.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun to do that. Actually, with it expanding so much, I I feel like I'm talking about myself too much, but
Okay.
right right now I even have some of my friends playing a D&D session in my cozy world, where they're creatures of myth and they are now solving the mystery of who killed um, a astronomer.
And we did a not a D&D, but it was I forget what it was. It was a game where we were trying to solve
Oh, yeah, it was kind of a homebrew
yeah.
uh D&D session, but we kind of lightened up a lot of the rules.
Mhm.
And I was an elf, if I remember right.
Yeah.
No, I was a European. Let me think here. I was a blue cap. There it is. A blue cap is a European elf who helps miners in the mines dig for gold, and they lead them to treasure. That's who I was.
Mhm.
Oh,
Uh,
right.
and it was so cool to see, like, you have an orc in there, and it was so crazy. And it was really cool to see all these mythicals like in one place in one story world. So like I remember helping you with the new book, and um I suggested, maybe a naga. That could be fun. I remember that conversation.
Oh yeah. And he ended up being the sheriff.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is I didn't think that would, like, I thought he would be someone else in the story first, and then the sheriff fit, and then the story began to like really fit together. And then we created like some other characters too along the way in the background.
Yeah, we did. And that's kind of the joy of co-authoring when say I hit a wall, I can go to my co-author and say, "Hey, do you have any ideas that might fit in this?" And we work together and it gets it done.
And that's kind of why we wanted to do this, because like I know a lot of inspiring authors like that want to co-author, and then they just give up because they don't click, and they're sometimes the opposite of each other. And one thing I want to encourage you guys is you got to, co-write with someone that understands your genre, but also your way of thinking. Not everybody can co-write. And so you have to find that person you want to work with and go, I really like your style, or I like your story world. Maybe I can learn from this. Maybe we can help each other, and then lean on each other for that help when you, like you said, when you hit a wall. And boy, did I hit some walls um in my own writing alone. um do you remember Mia and Thunderstorm?
Oh yeah.
So you helped me do the character Jaden, because of your own heritage, and I wanted to honor like that as best as I could. And poor me, I'm struggling to put a sentence together on that day. And you're like, it reads really well. What does it read really well? I don't know if she's described right or not. And so you really helped me have more confidence in that story, because at the beginning I was like, this is a fluke and it's not going to be very good. And then it turned out to be one of my better ones.
Well, that's how it works out sometimes. I mean, you did the same with me. There's times I've in my own uh
Oh, I remember us going back and forth like every day. You were like, does this sound good? And then I was like, yeah, but maybe reword it. I wasn't shy either to tell you like this needs more detail, or maybe less detail. And then I asked the same of you. And when I put out, for example, me, I had green skin and was itching it, you went maybe a little bit more detail. Why was she itching? um and we critiqued each other in a healthy way, and we didn't put each other down. And that's something I've seen some co-authors actually do. I've actually seen a famous co-author group uh, of two writers quit an entire series because they got so frustrated with each other and they could not speak each other's language. So one said, I wanted to do this with the character, and the other said, I want to do that. And they couldn't compromise. So that the book came out, but you can tell that you can tell right away that they had different visions. So like one chapter is, Jonathan is running through the woods and he's holding a sword, and the next chapter is Jonathan is running through the woods and he's holding a bow and arrow, to give you an example. I've seen that happen. Those of you who don't know this, dear friend of mine, Cassandra Clare, she wrote Shadowhunters. She wrote with Holly Black. A lot of people don't know that, but she also wrote a exclusive short series with 10 other authors. And it's very interesting reading those books and seeing that her style never changed, but you can tell that she co-wrote it because the other authors like put in their own 2 cents and expand that world and expand the not only the genre but the diversity of the characters or the races or the world building that she couldn't. And that's kind of what I felt happened with you and I. Like we both have these giant worlds with mythicals in it, and we both spoke that language and understood that language.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing the audience probably doesn't know a lot is you and I actually started out not with mythicals, which we could also relate to, but aliens. Your first book was an alien story, if I'm not mistaken,
It actually was the Elestrian Chronicles.
which I have read a little bit of, by the way. Um, I could relate because I did Arklands and it was an alien series, and I was a kid, and I thought, "Ooh, this is kind of cool. Let's do Noah's Ark in space." And and so we can relate that way because in our mind, aliens are like mythicals, basically. Like what the star people from Native American folklore to UFOs in Native American folklore, correct?
Yeah. Um, in fact, right now in one of my books, I'm having fun with, well, both in one of my books and in the D&D session I run, I'm having fun with star people, and
The
they,
constellations, yeah.
yeah, they look like the constellations their systems reside in.
And so,
Like there, oh, like
no, no,
there's
no, you're good.
Leonins, there's
And there's different you name them after the different constellations, correct?
uh somewhat. I was inspired by some art I saw, and I tried. There's one I had to change the name on because the constellation they come from is Aries, and I could not picture how to say someone from Aries without using a very uh, frowned on word nowadays. So I had to call them Ramirans.
Right. Yeah, I get that. And the concept is really cool, like the star people. And like seeing that in your world and having your characters like solve those mysteries, that's so cool. And like you integrated djinn from Middle Eastern culture, and you integrated werewolves. At one point, was it were lions? Was it where it was were cats? Was it? I think.
Basically, we're cats.
Yeah.
But the culture that I got that from, African culture, I think they either have were lions or were leopards are
Yeah,
the
I
two
think it,
forms that they can take.
I think it's where lions because it's from Africa. Yeah,
Yeah.
because the were lion is the one that's the royalty. So yeah, were lion. Um, folklorist, I still got it. Um, after all these years, I'm like an encyclopedia. Everybody's like, "Do you know this character? Do you know where this creature comes from? What country is that again?" The other day, someone from a studio messaged. They were like, "Do you know by chance where this character's from?" Yeah, it's from Sweden. Oh, I thought it was Australia. No, big difference. Um, that's kind of how it works, and so that's really cool that like you know a lot of the same folklore I do, and where I don't, I can lean on you, and you can go, well, I think that's okay, or you're not afraid to say, man, it makes me feel a little uncomfortable. Maybe change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And we've really like corrected each other on that and tried to like strengthen each other as mythology writers. Something I wanted to get into is you and I are both people of faith, and we try to reflect that in our writing. Um, Something that really stood out was you actually have some biblical references in your story.
Yeah, I try, at least. I don't.
And I kind of followed on that and was like, well, let's try to make biblical references in an urban, mythical world where myths and humans are existing, and it kind of fell from there. Um, like Thunderstorm and Mia and the whole love story where they fell in love, and if I remember right, she couldn't have children, so she ran away, I believe. And then you suggested, well, maybe have this happen, and I listened to that, and then when you were struggling on like one of your endings, I said, well, maybe have this happen and have Michael help, and then your character help him, and they know each other, and it just really worked. It flowed.
Yeah, it definitely did. And it really helped with sometimes endings can be hard to really peg down, so that was a real big help.
Tell me about it. um so like one thing that's really cool about yours is you write cozies, and it's funny, I did not know what cozies were. I've written thrillers, I've written mysteries, but I never knew what a cozy was. When you think cozy, you're like, I'm gonna cozy on up on my sofa or my bed and like watch a movie. And then I hear it from you, I write cozies, and I'm like, okay, all right. So obviously, we're not writing about cozying up on a sofa, so there has to be another meaning to this. What does that mean? And so, my taking literal brain, I was like, okay, there's a meaning. So I looked it up, and it meant cozy is an entirely new genre. Can you talk about that? Because I learned about that, and I was like, whoa, this is kind of cool. It's kind of an alternative to a subgenre that's already out there.
Well, cozies basically, okay, best I can say is picture things like Murder She Wrote.
Yeah.
It's a lot of what you can picture is it's the amateur detective who's drawn into a murder for, say, their best friend was all of a sudden suspect number one. Now they got to solve it before the police arrest him, or things like that. But there are certain, sorry, that's my chair clacking like
You're good. You're
that.
good.
But there are rules like you can't, let's see, keep swearing to a minimum, which I have seen cozy authors break that rule right and left. It's usually one of the main reasons I put the book down.
I've seen it too. Like, I won't name names, but I picked up a cozy the other day, and I was like, whoa, opposite of the genre. Yeah, totally get it.
The murder is off screen. Uh, Sex off screen, usually set in a small town, and if not a small town, at least a little community in a big city. But also, I have recently discovered that there are other forms, not just the mystery genre. There are cozy sci-fi, cozy romance, cozy thriller,
Now,
which seems like
how do you do a cozy sci-fi? I want to know that one.
that one from what I've researched, because I haven't tried writing it myself yet.
Right.
Would be you still have the epicness of space, but
Okay.
the stakes are not as high. It's not like, oh my gosh, we have to defeat the Empire or the fate of the universe is destroyed. It's more like, okay, well, we got this thing over here, and yeah, there might be some inconvenience, but
I get it now. Okay, okay. So like um and a lot of cozies I see are like in a fantasy setting too, honestly.
yeah, that's another new subgenre of it. It's the cozy fantasy. Books like Legends and Lattes, where
Yeah.
you have an orc and a tiefling running a coffee shop together. I
Great
haven't read
series.
that book yet,
Great
but
series too.
oh, it is. It's on my TBR list, and I haven't picked it up yet. Bad me.
Oh yeah. Well, you interviewed a famous cozy author a few weeks ago. I remember that.
Oh yeah. I For those listeners out there who don't know, I currently run Kathy's Cozy Chair. It used to be the Cozy Sleuth, but I am opening it to the other subgenres of cozy.
Yeah. I hate to jump in, but we're at time and it's going to shut down here any minute. So
Oh,
we'll come back, starting our conversation about the cozy genre. And